It's going to be one of those days today, it feels like right about now. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's so wonderful to be here with you all. You know, for a moment, Kathy, when right after Takia finished, I was about to ask, don't come up yet. Because it's like to just sit in that space and the energy of that song. It filled the room. And it filled our hearts. And it's like, and it literally almost has me in tears right about now. So, you know, and it's always interesting when there's a song that plays right before I speak. And it does something to me. And in that place, it shifts my talk as well. And I just have to, as I was sitting there, it's like, okay, Spirit, I'm listening. I'm listening. Let me just be open, use my voice to speak what it is that is to be spoken. Together we rise. Now, your theme is in regards to growing our community spiritually. The thing that Spirit kept giving me also is that when we come into spaces like this, into these centers, we come here because of music, of the words that have been spoken, the prayers, the energy of this space, because we want to be held. Sometimes we want to be seen. Sometimes we come in because we're holding so much within us, and there's nowhere else that we can release this. And we show up here because community is this, the love that is in this space. When we look at each other, we see the God within each person. We recognize that love that's within each person, even if they don't always show it. But what we know is that because Spirit created us, so we know love lives within us. So Takia, your song was perfect. So thank you. I'm still trying to catch my breath on that one, and it's, yes, please let us know when your CD is available, okay? Because this is something our entire world needs right now. To be reminded of who we are and whose we are. Stepping out of the ego that is telling us, oh, you're powerful, you're almighty, you can do this and go do this and remove this. What happens when we just sit down and just listen within? This is what communities like this remind us of. Spirit is funny. I have to laugh sometimes because what Spirit gave me this morning as I was going back through my notes was that our community began before this community here began. Our community of our families. Even during the time of when we were born into a community. This community taught us how to live, how to grow. Whatever the lessons are that we've learned from family that created and started our community. Whether we liked it or not, that's what we have. But there's something in these communities of families that allows us to grow. It pulls us. Many times I've heard it's like, we've chosen, these families that we've come into because we wanted to have these experiences that we've had. But with these experiences, I can speak for me, it has helped me to grow in ways that I could not have imagined. When I think about the traumas that I may have gone through and may have experienced in my younger years, not knowing then of how they support me now. That's community of family. It's like, you may have families that may have been abusive and weren't present, and we've had to think, how do I take care of myself? How do I honor myself? Who's there for me? Who's there to protect me? And in these moments, what Spirit reminded me of, in all these years that I'm here, God has always been there with each one of us to move us through those experiences. Some may be more traumatic than others. Some may be more loving than others. But the thing is that we have been a part of that community that we call family all of our lives. We may not talk to some of them right now, but we're still a part of that community. And that community helps us to continue to grow. One of the things, there was a Howard Thurman quote that came up for me. And what it says is that community cannot feed for long on itself. It can only flourish with the coming of others from beyond, their unknown and undiscovered brothers. And what I realize is that that growth, it requires openness. Because sometimes communities can become stagnant. So when it starts closing in on itself, it's like, there's so many things that's happening. You're kind of doing the same routine things over and over and over again. And it's like, okay, this is a little stagnant. We need to do something a little different. Spiritual growth happens when we welcome in new ideas. We have to have new ideas in order for us to be able to do new things in the world. And new perspectives, new people, new expressions of the divine. That's what I love about spiritual communities, because we get people from all walks of life, and they bring in their ideas. This is one of the reasons why I like when youths come into our communities, because they have these fresh ideas. As we get older, we kind of get set in our ways, and it's like, nah, I don't want to do that. I hear so many people that are older that still don't want to learn the computers. But this is what we have right now, and it's okay. But the thing is, like, there's a world of information that's out there at our fingertips. But when we have new ideas that come in, this is where we have opportunities to bring in more people. Because when we start different groups or meeting spaces here or whatever communities we're a part of, it opens up the door to invite others to come in. When you all do your sound healing baths here, that opens the door for people to come in to recognize who, it's like who this community is. And it's like when you do A Course in Miracles, and it's like some people may not have heard it, or they may have, and it's like, oh my gosh, we're doing this? Yes, because it opens up our minds to see something different. When you all have different artists that come in, they bring their music, and it opens up and gives new ideas. Oh, I like that song. What can I do? It's like, oh my gosh, how is that song going to heal me, lead me out into the world? This is the thing that I started thinking about with spiritual communities, with family communities, but also work communities. So it's like, how do we grow at work? Because sometimes wherever we go, there we are, as the saying goes. And so if we're holding on to anger, resentment, having trust issues, wherever we show up, we're going to take that with us, and we're going to attract those people into our lives. The thing that I've learned with work communities is that that's still a spiritual space, because it teaches us lessons. It shows us and it reminds us that you may have a boss that doesn't see you, doesn't appreciate you, or even coworkers that don't want to share the workload with you, want to try to hog it all for themselves. Or for some people that are retired right now, and they may be doing volunteer work or whatever work they're doing out in the world, we're going to run across people that may not see the truth and the light in who we are. And it's not for us to go up and say, hey, look at me over here. You see me, I'm here. No, because it's not about, that's not how spirit operates. For some people that might be, because they're like, they have the stage and it's theirs. But we don't have to go and announce, see my light, see my light. And it's like, let me show you my flashlight up here. People see you because they see your heart. They recognize what's within. And that's what brings people closer to you that want to be a part of who you are. It's like there's something about you. It's like I can't put my finger on it, but it's like I need to know who you are or what you're doing. And that's what happens at times. I've seen, that's been my experience that I've had since, again, it's like I'm going to bring this up again. Thank you, Spirit. Trying to get away from it. Within the funeral business that I'm a part of. And just the families that I get to attract, because I don't always know whose service I'm working on. And so my thing is, how do I show up and be that instrument of love, of peace, to hold that space? And when that happens, it's like people are like, thank you so much for how you showed up. Thank you for just holding us there. Because sometimes when we walk into a space and it feels noisy, sometimes it's up to us to settle it down. I think about, it's like when we think about like a thermostat and a thermometer. The thermometer will read the temperature in the room, but the thermostat will shift the temperature in the room. So when you walk into a space, are you being the thermostat or are you being the thermometer? Because when you walk in, if it's anger, resentment, or something energetic that's happening in the room, and you're coming in as that thermometer, you're just meeting that energy right where it is. But it's like, take a step back, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Something needs to shift here for a moment. Let me settle it down for a moment. Let me turn up the cool air for a moment. Or turn up the heat, whatever it may be. But it's one of those things that we get to remember who we are. That's what spiritual community is about. Depends on whatever reading, whatever studying you're doing. This is what continues to guide us in our next steps. Okay, Spirit, I'm listening. In this moment, it's like I'm still going back to your song, and it's like, and I'm just, the energy of it is just, it just has my heart right now. Because sometimes when we have these spiritual communities, people want to come in because they have nowhere else to go. And when they walk through the doors, sometimes they want to just be greeted or just sit down and have a seat. But what I love about spiritual communities is that people can feel other people's energies, and all they need to do sometimes is just go sit down next to that person. They don't have to say anything. Just sit down next to someone that you feel may be having a hard time. Or if somebody's walking through the door, greet them. I was like, hi, how are you? Like you all do. Is this your first time here? How did you hear about us? And people want to feel connected, although they may say, nope, you don't need to talk to me. It's okay. But there's one of those push-pull things. It's like, they try to push you away, but they're pulling you in saying, yes, please come talk to me. Please say something to me. That's why I'm here. This is what we get from communities. And then when we have readings and the discipline and the practices that we can put into place, people sometimes want to know, give me some tools on how I can live my life in a way that's greater than anything I can ever imagine. We're reminded that Spirit is within us, that there is not that outside of us that's going to pull us and judge us, and other than humans, but in the spiritual aspect of it, it's within us. And when we can sit down and be still and listen to that still voice, these are the things that we are taught when we come to communities like this, when we do the meditations, because in the meditation there's stillness. And yes, sometimes we'll have that monkey mind chatter that's going on. It's like, what bills do I need to pay? And did I lock the door? And all of this starts happening. But then as you kind of settle into it, it does dissipate. But the thing is that there is a community within ourselves. And this community that's within ourselves is that spirit. And it's lifting us up, it's helping us to rise higher if we listen. If we continue to listen and follow the instructions. And sometimes it's just a willingness. Be willing to listen. Be willing to follow the instructions. Be willing to write the new songs, because we never know how these messages, how the music is going to touch and heal the world. Heal someone in this room. Heal someone that will hear her music, that will hear this talk, that will hear whatever it is that's happening in here. And they take that because that's what they needed in that moment. This world that we're living in right now, it feels so heavy. But there's a lightness that's happening. There is a shift that's happening right now. And it's like, and as we continue to march on, to keep moving forward, not to allow what we see with our human eyes to distract us, but when we look with our inner eye and listen with our inner ear, Spirit is guiding us step by step. This is the time right now for us to truly rise up as community. What is it that we're coming here to do as community, as spiritual community, as this physical community, even as family? Even when we have so much tension that's happening around us, there's somebody in that group that needs presence of love, that needs just someone to say hi, to see them. Sometimes people just want to be held, and they don't know where a safe space is. This is why they come to communities like this. Sometimes people need laughter, because they say laughter is a healing tool. Laughter works, and sometimes we have the nervous laughter, it's like, and that's okay. But sometimes people have been holding on to so much that they need something to release, because when there's laughter, there is an opening that happens. Try it sometimes. Go watch some cartoons or something and just watch them, and just think back to your old cartoons that you used to watch years ago. And just watch it for a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour. And when you start laughing, recognize what's happening within your body. Because laughter truly is a healing balm. You know, sometimes people want to be seen without any performance. Just see me, just recognize me, just say hi. There's no performance needed. You don't have to come and say, hey, come on in. It's like, yeah, it's good to see you. You know, come on, right up here. We have a seat for you and everything. And people feel like they're put right on the spot. It's like, no, I don't want to do that part, but let me just sit back here in the back seat back here. You know, when I think about our Sunday gatherings, this truly is the breathing, living, spiritual community. For every breath that we breathe here, from the moment we walk through the doors that we set up the equipment and everything else that's to be set up, there's an energetic in this space. These spaces that are called churches and temples and mosques and synagogues, and they've all been prayed up in their own way. And when people walk into these spaces, they feel that energy. there's something within them that rises up within them, that comes from Mother Earth up through the floors, up into our body temples. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is holy ground. Because we have prayed it up, we've walked through it, we've blessed every corner, every wall, everything in these communities. There's sometimes, it's like when I go to, because I'm a part of OCSL, and I'll walk through, and this is something I've learned from Reverend Eloise years ago, is that I walk through and I bless each of the chairs, each of the rows going through, blessing those individuals that will sit in these chairs, those individuals that will come into this community. Because what I know is that the mind doesn't know the difference of whether they're here now or if they're coming later. We're presenting as if they are here now. Walk through, bless your community, bless the rows, as you walk through the aisles, bless outside of the doors those individuals that are coming into your community. This is spiritual work that we're doing here. This is God's work. And people, it's like, I call it God, Source, Spirit, Buddha. People have different names. There is, whatever name you call it, it doesn't care. And I've heard, like Reverend Michael calls it love, beauty. So it doesn't matter what name you call it, but just tap into it. Listen to it within you. Know that spirit will always be spirit, no matter what. It will never change. It will always be the same. It will not judge you. It will not punish you. Because we as humans, we have to learn our own lessons. So we beat ourselves up more than anybody else could. Well, let me speak for myself. Because I know you all spiritual in here, so it's like, so that doesn't happen with you all. But it's like, what also happens in churches and spiritual communities is that when we have people that we've not seen in a while, do we reach out and call them to check in on them? Do they cross our minds to say, hey, let me see, I haven't seen so-and-so here in a while. Pick up the phone. Hey, everything okay? People appreciate that. This is what community is about. Sometimes you may bring a meal to someone or invite them out to lunch. And sometimes you just give a person a hug because they don't need words. They just need your heart. That's what church is. That's what family is as well. That's the community. Now, sometimes there's maybe some family members, nope, I don't want to hug you. I don't want to be anywhere near you. Nope, But that's our ego. But it's also our protection too, because there are some energies you truly don't want to be around. I'm very good at that one. That's why I moved from DC back over to California. Yeah, I can stay over there. But the thing is, it's like, so I get to love my family from afar. And I thank, my mother, my grandmother, all of them for allowing me to be a vessel to come here, because there is work for me to do. I don't know what it all is, but what I know is that there's more for me to do. There's more for each one of you all to do. So for those individuals that have issues with mothers or grandmothers, even especially with mothers, thank them for allowing them to be the vessel to get you here, to do the work that you're being called to do. That's the community of motherhood. That's the community of family. Howard Thurman has another quote that came to me this morning as well. And it is, we are made for the purpose of relating to each other, of being sensitive to each other's needs and concerns. That's what relationships are. That's what community is, because community is a relationship. No matter how you look at it, it's like we're all in relationship with each other. When we walk through the door, there's some type of relationship that's happening. So this is not just about a social arrangement or anything. This is about how do we show up? How do we bring spiritual practice into what we do here and take it out into the world? What spiritual practice or practices are we using? How are we using those spiritual practices to bring more and more people into the world or into our communities? One of the things I saw was that there was this person on, I think, Facebook. He sent me the message the other day. That was just a reminder. It's like, hey, I see you. Remember who you are. Know that you are loved. If no one tells you today, know that I'm telling you this today. Some people may have bypassed it and may have said, yeah, whatever, I don't know you. But somebody stopped and watched that video, and it did something to them. This is what Together We Rise, because it truly takes a village in order to create spiritual communities, family communities, work communities, whatever communities. In order for us to rise up, it takes a village. When I think about babies and the mothers, the newborn mothers that just had the babies, of how much energy it takes for them to take care of their child and take care of themselves, and with all the emotions that go through it. Think of spiritual communities as a baby. How do we nurture our spiritual communities? How do we support those spiritual communities in growing? How do we call in our village and say, I see you. We need some help here. Many of you may have heard this African proverb, is what I keep hearing that it's called. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Because so many times we say, I don't need any help. I can do this on my own. Yeah, it's like, I'll figure it out. And then Spirit will say, are you sure about that? You really? No, I think you're going to need some help here. And that's when the relationships come in with spiritual communities, family communities, whatever. But eventually, everybody meets a moment when they cannot do it by themselves. Because sometimes it will have you sitting up in the corner, lights out in the house, not wanting to talk to anyone. And that's when you need spiritual community. That's when you need community, because that community will help you to rise up. So as I move towards closing for this talk, what Spirit is reminding me is to remember why you're here. The why matters. Because the why is not just to say that we have a building, or that we have, ministers that are doing this work, but it's to receive those individuals who are hurting. We're receiving those individuals that may bring their own points of views on how we can grow community, and not coming in an egoic way, but it's, I can offer these tools. Because if this community wasn't here, would we be having singers, musicians here, speakers here? This would be a building that would stand for whatever other reason, whatever purpose it may have been for. But this was created. Stop. Oh, come on, are you kidding? Okay. That's my alarm, so. Wow. Okay, so today, thank you, Spirit. Ooh. Today is the first day. Today is the best day, because right now we get to set our intentions for what we want to experience in our communities, in our worlds, in our communities of 1, 2, however many we bring in together to support us, in our spiritual communities, in our home communities, in our world communities. How do we show up in a way that supports others in rising? So with that, I'm just going to go into prayer. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Father, Mother God, for this amazing, amazing day. Thank you for all that has been revealed, all that will continue to be revealed. In gratitude, I am so grateful for this opportunity to speak this word, to know this truth, to hold this space of consciousness for this beloved community known as the Home of Truth Spiritual Center. How good it is to be in this awareness of saying yes, arms wide open to receive that is being poured through us right now. That we are being reminded of who we are and whose we are and how we are to show up and show out in some cases in this world right now. Because what we know is that our prayers, our healing energies, our love is needed right here, right now. And that as we gather together, those individuals here in the room, those that are on Zoom or live stream, however they're showing up, those that will watch the recording will be reminded. Together we rise. We rise up. We take this energy, we take this love, we take this knowing, and we take it out into the world. Mother Gaia is needing us right here and right now. As Zakiya has sung her song beautifully before, it's a reminder. We are love. And I'm being reminded, Spirit, use me for something greater than myself. We allow ourselves to be used in a way that no human being can deny who we are, because we walk as God, as the living essence of God. Spirit, thank you for reminding us of how we show up, how we walk, how we move. Because in this moment right now, it's yes. Yes. Will your heart and soul say yes continuously? Because in that yes, we'll see the good, we'll see the bad, we'll see the ugly. But what we know is that within there is love underneath of it. We get to pour more love and more love and more love onto everything that's showing up in those ways. Because what we know is that we get to see God in action as we pour this love. So I just give thanks for this time that we have come here together. I give thanks for this day. I give thanks for each and every person that's here. I give thanks for this life that we get to live in this moment. I give thanks for our ancestors that have paved ways for us to move forward. I give thanks for it all, knowing that it serves us in ways that we can't even imagine. But we continue to keep doing what Spirit is calling us to do. So I give thanks for this and so much more. And I just anchor this prayer with, blessed be, so it is, Ashe, Amen.